we cannot run away from the reality that socioculturally speaking, young people have been raised by the older generation, okay, to be who they are. Because at the end of the day, we're products of our environment. And I'm not absolving young people of their responsibility here. I'm only saying that the reality of the environment, you know, cannot be taken out of who people have become. Yeah. So when you cannot, you know, look to the states as a system of support, as something to rely on, then you cannot take pride in it. And when you can't take pride in it, the affinity, you are alienated. And when you are alienated, what do you expect? The private individual will seek alternative solutions within himself or herself. And that's what informs the young people that we have now. On that show for the season 1, we had one blind person, an albino, 2 deaf participants. Wow. We call them honorable members of the house. We had also, we gave Nigerians the opportunity to see a woman as the speaker of the house. So there was a man and there was a woman. Now, what does that mean? There is the ongoing conversations now around special seats bill for women.
Young people are not ready to lead Nigeria. That's what my generation and those older are saying. Is that true? If you put 100 people, Nigerians, in one room, 75% of them are under the age of 35. That's what the statistics say. 75 people in 100. That means for a population of 220 million, we have nothing less than 160 million people that are under 35. Just think of that for a second. And then when you think about the civil service, where the country is led from, whether in the House of Assembly, whether in the civil service itself, how many of the people under 35 are there? And then you think that's bad, right? Then you come back to civil society space. How many civil society leaders are under the age of 35? This is why we're having this conversation this morning. I have someone in the studio. She is doing a lot to change this. She has the Nigeria House of Commons show. She also has done quite a lot, and that's why we have her in the studio. Glory, you're most welcome to the studio.
Thank
Africana
you for
League. Having me. You're doing a great work. What brought up this whole idea of Africana League and the Nigeria House of Commons?
Well, there is the God factor. I have to say that.
Oh, okay.
I give him the glory.
Yeah.
But then there is also the burdens that were shaped by my own experiences.
Okay.
You know, I'm a 2-time best graduating student. I graduated summa cum laude at Leeds City University, and then I repeated the same feat when I was doing my master's, you know, at the Department of Political Science, University of Ibadan.
Okay.
First and foremost, I'm typically an ambitious person.
Oh, great.
And having studied in the realm of political science and international relations, you get to hear the best brains. And by the way, I was mentored by the best. I mean, the best names in post science in Nigeria. I either know them directly or have access to them.
Wow.
And so what this means is that I'm exposed to where, you know, they meet for discussions, seminars, brainstorming sessions, conferences, and I hear only complaints.
Yeah.
You know, one typical, you know, word that never left me was when one of the professors would say, Nigeria is always moving backwards. It's like it keeps moving forward as if it's propelling, but then it's taking much more steps backwards. And then when I was doing my master's, there was this interesting experience of 2015 elections projections where Tahiru Jega at the time, you know, the then INEC chair, came out to say that I think from one institution in the US, there were estimations that Nigeria was going to disintegrate after 2015 elections. at 2014, at the time, it threw a lot of conversations around peace building on elections and all that.
Yeah.
But I was curious. I did my own research, and I found that Nigerians, regardless of background, ethnic extraction,
Yeah.
they weren't really ready for another civil war.
Yeah.
They were not ready to disintegrate. They just want the elections to continue and for their lives to keep moving forward. And I just said to myself, okay, so I am here with this research, based on the tools that I deployed. Nobody's going to listen to me.
Yeah.
How do I get these ideas into policy making, into the space for people to acknowledge that this is the reality of the country that's driven by research?
Yeah.
And that shot something in me that never got quiet, because I was like, all this leadership, I really should be there.
Be there.
In that space,
Yeah.
contributing. And the research is supposed to be conduiting into the policy output, So yeah, I pretty much figured that just like any other young person, the door appears to be shut. A prof once looked at me with what looks like pity. And he told me, he said, Glory, you're like gold that is buried.
Yeah.
I don't know how you will come out. Many other young people, they I'm sure they pretty much experience the same thing. And I remember you used to have a mentor too who would tell me all the time, all these your ideas, hasten slowly.
Yeah.
Nigeria will teach you, hasten slowly. I kind of get it now.
Oh, you kind of get it now?
At the time, I'm still bubbling with a lot of ideas, but I get now how the system can condition you. You see, to backpedal and to say, oh, this is impossible. So essentially, Africana League came in response to those realities that I'm not the only one going through it. I know that I'm brilliant. I know I'm a person of capacity, but I see that the space is not designed for a quality person like me to be able to walk through.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, how would you handle that? If, it was this Franz Fanon that said, out of relative obscurity, every generation must discover its own mission and fulfill it or betray it. Do you think this generation and their Jakpa mindset is discovering their mission? And are they even near fulfilling it at all? Everybody's just disappointed in Nigeria and running away.
We are, and we really, by the way, cannot blame them, because, solution comes from first acknowledging the root of the problem rather than the response, the stems. The country is not designed for the elevation of the common man.
No, it shouldn't be designed for that. No country was ever designed for that. They agreed with themselves and said, we must change this. When they say power is never given, it's grabbed, even the political gladiators.
Yeah, but our constitution says we the people.
No.
And the people, we're talking about a population of people that is more than 70% now of the of the entire population of the country.
So go and grab it.
Yes, we have to acknowledge that, we cannot oversimplify the process. Yes, we as young people have the benefits of demography in terms of numbers.
Yes.
But young people ab initio, especially given our cultural, systems of how we're raised, to not challenge elders, to not, educated, to not be as curious, and to not ask so many questions.
So what happened with NSAS? How did young people rise?
Okay, the thing with NSAS is the reality that the impact of what threw it up is something that almost everybody has experienced or has a very close experience with. I'll give you, in this case, police brutality. Almost every young person in this country has either experienced police brutality directly or has been or knows someone very close, a sister, a brother, a classmate, a colleague, a friend, who has experienced police brutality directly. And on the other side of it, the engagement of the police, the Nigerian police force, in responding to crime and other issues that affect them, there appears to be a sort of betrayal, in the sense that one doesn't typically think that police is your friend. in quick resolution to any issue that affects you as a citizen in terms of private security.
Therefore, not more affected, even more uniformly affected by bad roads, bad hospitals, and misappropriation of funding.
They are.
Why are they not as upset as they were on NSAS? It seems to me, therefore, that agreeing with what you have said, that they were uniformly affected by police brutality, they are even more uniformly affected by certain issues. But I think they feel...
those other issues are many times invisible.
Okay.
Yes, when they occur. I mean, when we talk about health, for instance, unless you've been in a situation in which your family member, has died out of carelessness or issues of time management with regards to assessing the hospitals and all that. Just as Roga said, everything appears to be funny when it happens to someone else.
Yes.
You see, but police brutality is brutal, and it calls for, it elicits an immediate reaction. Yeah. So in a situation like that, I mean, tension is there. There's emotions. There's, there's mindsets and ego that's flaring. There's the threats to your life. I believe personally, I have experienced my father at about 2015 or so. He was brought down from his vehicle and beaten with guns. Whoa. Yes, I'm telling you. I literally, after that experience, I put together a paper. The villainy of the Nigerian state and the villainy of police service delivery in Nigeria. At the time, I was with Lee City University, so we called a whole seminar, called the state representative, the state PRO, of the police force to come here. I declared my biases to, relay the experience. But I, again, did research on it, I found that people really would like that the police exist. Yeah. They will see, they see the importance of why it should be there, but they don't trust it. When people don't trust it, and many times they also account for police as the direct threat to their own life and security, how do you expect them to feel? You say it's a feeling of ambivalence, and an ambivalent relationship with someone that should protect you can go either way at any time. So
how will you feel if I say the youths are then self-centered? Because we've heard, there's even a study by a youth-led group, Martin Obono's group, forgotten the name, but they did a study. I say almost every, a large percentage of people, to access healthcare, they're having to pay, bribes. You have to pay bribes to be given proper healthcare and all of that. So there are studies about different things that affect the young people. The young people are busy blocking themselves on social media instead of organizing, and all of that. I think that I would accept to say most young people are just looking at themselves alone. Yeah, they're not looking at the nation as a collective.
I can agree with you on that. There's clearly a need for national reorientation. And that's one of the things Africana League has been focusing on. I mean, one of two big topics that always plays over in my mind are being ambitious for Nigeria, okay? And then the appetites that build and destroy a nation. We cannot run away from the reality that, socioculturally speaking, young people have been raised by the older generation, okay, to be who they are. Because at the end of the day, we're products of our environment. And I'm not absolving young people of their responsibility here. I'm only saying that the reality of the environment, cannot be taken out of who people have become. I'll give you an instance. I struggled to get admission to the university. I was such a brilliant student. I struggled. I had circumstances where people told my parents, asked my parents for bribes and all of that. And based on those things and for different reasons, my name never came out for admission in 3 different public universities. I eventually made it to a private university. I only went to UI as a federal university to prove the validity of my first class. But here's the thing. By the time it got to the turn of my last born, my parents were looking for who to bribe. Like, they weren't going to waste the destiny of their children anymore. So here's the point, that the system has bred a variation of monsters with regards to the selfishness of humans that we have now. But also, self-centeredness is intrinsic to human beings, okay? So when you cannot, look to the states as as a system of support, as something to rely on, then you cannot take pride in it. And when you can't take pride in it, the affinity, you are alienated. And when you are alienated, what do you expect? The private individual will seek alternative solutions within himself or herself. And that's what informs the young people that we have now. Let's not forget the reality again of social media, because we don't always can compare experiences very easily. We know what's happening here. We know what's happening in other countries.
Yeah.
We know the opportunities we're able to access. We know the opportunities that other people are able to access. I give you this.
And those things might be polished anyway, remember?
I give you one relevant, immediate experiences of young people. If you talk about youth in Nigeria or in other parts of Africa, we find a reality of late entry into the society as independent actors based on the reality of assessing resources that it takes to survive, and therefore to be able to make calculations, projections, build your own aspirations, and pursue your dreams and achieve them. Achieving is important. I mean, you have to even make small wins. But you see, the average young person doesn't find that as realistic. Some professors, even some elderly people that I've had to interact with recently, they tell me by the time we're in the university, companies were coming to us for jobs, to recruit.
They would give them vehicles.
Once you were a graduate, it was almost automatic. Your path was set. Your life and livelihood was a given.
Yeah.
You see, you can get married immediately. You have your wife, your husband. You can make your kid because you're not worrying about the money.
Yeah.
Resources are already there. You have a job that is good.
Yeah.
You have a place in society. You count as a
The
citizen.
protest in 1977 or so in the Ahmadu Bello University was because they were now no longer going to be giving them whole chicken.
I was going to talk about chicken because a prof had particularly told me that he pities us. That do you know that when we're in the university, that people will literally push carts to serve us a full chicken for lunch?
Full chicken.
For lunch.
That they were going to split the chicken now and give them half. And then they protested. No.
And now
those same people now don't want people to protest.
And now the Nigerian youth has to go to school on empty stomach. You have to worry about rent. You have to worry about what to eat. You have to worry about clothes. And now, given the reality of social media also that has also contributed in an increasing appetite for materialism, you worry about meeting up with what you think that your peer groups can access. And, you want to meet up.
Yeah.
Because the awareness of self is already entering at that stage.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I want a good phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to wear nice clothes. I want to smell well. I want to be able to make my hair. I don't want to think about those things as a problem. And most importantly, I want to eat well. I don't want to always turn gari and granules and indomie and count those things as luxury.
Yeah.
You understand?
All right. We'll go on a break and we'll be back. You see, the guest we have in the studio has a show called the Nigeria House of Commons, which is a simulation of youth doing what they do in the National Assembly. And I'm going to ask her after this why the National Assembly is full-time. Would she support the idea of a part-time National Assembly where people reside in their locations and come to Abuja every 3 months to make laws? I'll be right back.
Nigeria is rising.
But our future won't be shaped by chance. Our future will be built by bold choices and the leaders we train today. Welcome to the Nigeria House of Commons, the stage for real youth power. This is not role play. This is the real deal. Young Nigerians debating real issues like state policing, fuel subsidy, diaspora voting, and social media regulation.
Section 14, subsection 2b states that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government.
The National Youth Policy was enacted in order to ensure that there is an adequate framework that protects and promotes the interest of Nigerian youth.
All right, welcome back and thank you for sharing the show. Yes, we are having a wonderful conversation with the Executive Director of Africana League, a non-governmental organization. And she's been doing a great work. And she's so eloquent and radiant. You're running the Nigeria House of Commons. What inspired that? Because I'm going to ask you about the House of Commons, the legislative arm, and things like that.
Well, for me, it's about reducing the barriers to entry into the political processes, especially flowing from the act called the Not Too Young to Run.
Yeah.
That was signed May 31, 2018.
Yeah.
Which some other people in the, we all included, also supported the process to see that the age for young people to contest elections in this country got reduced. Just for context, it means that from 35, a young person can go for the post of president or governor or a senator.
Yeah.
And then from the age of 25, they can go for the positions of State House of Assemblies, House of Reps, and all that. But then we see a huge lacuna that young people are not significantly able to come out as candidates for elections in the electoral process. They're not emerging from the political parties, even to say, oh, we're buying nomination forms and contending to represent political parties, and then they're not eventually emerging as such from political parties.
You are 160 million. Why are you not creating your own parties?
Right. Okay, so they're creating parties, political parties are not so automatic. The system also has its own way of curtailing the excesses of over-duplication of political parties. It's,
or go in mass numbers and go and invade one.
Yeah, well, that's we're working on now. So here's the thing that we came up with at Africana League as a solution. They say that one good picture is worth 1,000 words. The way the young person has been socialized in this country, we do not have, a widespread participant culture with regards to politics.
Yeah.
There are many reasons for that, right from the domestic environment to the reality of how people see it as a terrain of the bad people, and how aggressive Hobbesian it is, such that it could literally threaten your life, and then your families don't want to lose you and all. So, that keeps a lot of people away from the idea of politics. And so we're not seeing a lot of young people building their aspirations. Not this, that is not there inherently, but the imagination of what it could do with regards to loss of life, with regards to loss of resources that you don't even have, and all of those barriers to entry is what we're trying to solve by creating now a platform that does two main things, or three. One, that it enables the young people who have aspirations to be able to come forward, who have aspirations and skills and relevant skills of leadership, to come forward so that people, young people and the older generation, can see them and know who the future and could be handed over to. For youth, it's an opportunity for them, therefore, to identify those that they can relate to, and then build support base around them to say, okay, now you're on this platform, we see you. What's your aspiration in the real national political setting, so that we can mobilize support for you? Why is this so important? Because politics as it is expensive. Visibility is expensive. Campaign is expensive. So we want to be able to use our own model to bring them to limelight, so that the right people can see them and support them with their own networks, resources, and all that they have and that they care to do. But for the older generation, it's also an opportunity for them to see them and put their weight behind them if they care to do so. But, for those who are thinking about the future of this country, that says, oh, where are those quality young people? We don't see them, we don't know them. They get to see them and know them. The other thing it does is that it serves as a platform for political literacy and education. So now the average young person gets to be able to see and understand legislative processes. The debates are conducted according to the rules of, the standing order that guides the Nigerian Senate. It enables the average young person to be able to see people like themselves holistically leading a process on keenly contested policy issues in the country. We have tried our best to be as inclusive. So here it is, and to represent certain ideals of what the future of Nigeria ought to be looking like. On the platform, for instance, we helped Nigerians to see what it means for persons with disability, to actually not be treated as handouts, but to be sitting representing constituencies with equal rights and capacity to others. Okay. On that show for the season 1, we had one blind person, an albino, 2 deaf participants.
Wow.
We call them honorable members of the House. We gave Nigerians the opportunity to see a woman as the Speaker of the House. So there was a man and there was a woman. Now, what does that mean? There is the ongoing conversations now around special seats bill for women in Parliament. Okay. So, but again, the impact of seeing women sitting at the helm of affairs of a parliamentary institution in the country is another imagination we want to help Nigerians build or conceive. Then another thing,
there was Patricia Ete.
I mean, see, it's not in the original imagination of Nigerians. You know Patricia, a 25-year-old doesn't know. So they need to build the imagination. And then we wanted them to also understand, for instance, the reality of conversations being driven by ideologies. Ideologies of development, which we presently don't have driving political conversations from political party levels. And that's why carpet crossing is so easy, because our political parties do not necessarily represent specific ideals. They only represent opportunities to grab political power, to associate with it, to access it for private use. Okay. At least, I mean, to a larger population, that's how we see it to be. There are those few who want to make a difference. We acknowledge them. But what we experience of what governance is, as delivered by present party structures, we don't see our political elites engage each other from ideas of how governance should be, how dividends of democracy should trickle down to the common man, what GDP per capita income increase, decrease should mean to us, what balance of payments, deficits and surplus should mean to the person on the street. We don't see that. So here's the thing. We created 2 political parties, UUP, which is Unity by Uniformity Party, and UDP, Unity in Diversity Party. These political parties, members of each of these parties argue through ideological lenses on all the issues of policy that they debate. What this means is that it enables Nigerians hear the 2 sides on issues, whether we should, on that particular matter, be focusing towards the centripetal federalist perspectives, or we should be focusing or building that idea of development from the centrifugal substructural perspective of development. So these are ideals.
It's plenty grammar, really, but
okay,
we are forgiven.
Thank you.
Well, before we went on that break, I talked about why should the members of the House of Commons, I assume it replicated what is in the National Assembly, where people get elected, you are representing a community. But then you get removed as soon as you get elected. You get removed from that community. What do you think of a proposal that says you get elected from the community, you represent that community by staying in that community? You can't be from Zamfara and then remove yourself to come sit here in Abuja and be a legislator and then only visiting home. It should be the other way around, isn't it? What do you think of such a proposal?
That's what we need. First, to reduce the cost of governance. And then, more importantly, to keep our leaders rooted in the communities. Because you cannot, these are constituencies. They voted for you, and when you were campaigning for them, you sat among them. Or at least you pretended to. You went to them downstream.
You ate corn.
We do, at Africana League, we do a lot of interactions with young people at community levels, where we also have our civic leadership clubs. And here's one of the things that they say. Well, it is only in during campaigns that you see the politicians. And that's why, again, it's as if this issue of stomach infrastructure tends to work. Because during campaigning or electioneering, these people come to us down at the grassroots
with all the money and
and then they leave the citizens with the only expectation that this is the only time we can get something out of it, which is an anomaly that now impacts on our governance, because the people don't actually make clear expectations, articulate their needs as preconditions to be voted for. Because they expect already that by the time you get there, you leave us, you forget us. You almost forget to associate that you were once here or that you're even from here.
Yeah.
And when you come home, you're expected to be treated like a king and a queen who is already elevated from us. No,
Yeah.
you ought to be a part of us. You are us.
Yeah.
You see, you are us, especially in parliament. You see, parliament is the role is so critical because that is the place of policy making that ought to come from interest, political articulation of the needs of the people.
Yeah.
Having politically socialized these people to truly understand their needs and to be able to articulate it. And then it is at that point you get to aggregate the interests. As senators, as House of Rep members, you are merging the interests of people from different sects of the country to now say that this should be a national policy because we've been able to accommodate all the voices. So yes, how do you represent our interests clearly if you forget who we are, if you forget our essence, if you become too much of a finessed man or woman, or if you become so elevated that you don't know that in this our community water is more of a priority than school at this time, or that our women are actually dying, because we don't have local dispensaries to take care of them when they want to give birth. We're losing our babies, just at that level. If you don't know, how do you represent them properly? So I think it's a fantastic idea, and we're going to be, supporting that. Let these people stay rooted. The center itself is a public space.
Yeah.
Here, within us, is much more private. That's where we can assess you. That's where we can correct you.
Yeah.
That's where we can explain ourselves to you better. That's where we can speak our language.
Yeah.
When you get up there, you're speaking English. English is not our tongue.
All right. So before we go, because I know you're doing a lot on the Africana League, how do you get funding for the House of Commons show? Do you need support? I'm sure you've got a lot of money, right?
Oh, no. For any good idea, we always need support. People do say that young people are underfunded. Now, yes, over-mentored and underfunded. I think that's my case, just like any other young people. We do need funding. Everything that we've been doing up until this time has come through myself as the founder, and I'm so passionate. My life is committed to the idea of youth and nation building because, it's not about Nigeria of today, but for me, Nigeria of tomorrow. And also our members who subscribe, whether they are basic members or standard members or patron members and all. That's really what we have and what we work with at this time. But we're looking to build a more intergenerational process where other stakeholders of nation building come in to really support us. Now, we know that typically we should rely or expect donor funding and all that, but I'm an Afrocentrist, and I believe that until we take responsibility as Africans, as Nigerians in this context for our own development, it would not, even if it does come, it would not be driven in a sustainable manner.
There are African donors
stakes,
actually.
Yes.
ASR Africa, the Boa Group has $100 million.
We are working to build the relationships. But then again, this is the challenge of the civil society space for young people. The requirements that it takes to have access to institutional fundings that come from multiple, country representations, like the ones that you've mentioned, they'd require you to be in existence for a specific number of years. They'd require you to also be working in the direction that they are also focusing on, which may not be your immediate priority at the time. They'd also require, and then by that means they sometimes also reshape or misshape your narrative and focus. They would also be requiring you to wait around their own funding rounds and all that. Many of those times, it's not as convenient. Young people, in their own essence, may not always have all the technical skills, all the technical articulation in their formative years to express their concerns and aspirations in the manner that necessarily suits your narrative. And they may not be able to build the quality of partnerships in their formative years that it will take to buy into what you consider to be credibility.
Yeah.
You see, that's been a significant limitation. We're only able to grow out of this process now because, again, we've taken some time to build a foundation and all of that. But this, again, accounts for why many young people are underrepresented, even in leading civil society programs and projects.
All right.
They're limited. One of the things we do, because I always say this, I don't believe in complaints. You know, we, as young people, and that's the value we bring to the table of leadership, we're about finding creative solutions to the issues. So even on the other side of individual levels of people who are coming into politics, we tell them, go build your credibility within your communities. Start to identify little problems you can solve. We train them on building mobilization skills so that all of that takes off the costs of implementing their community impact projects, and then they report to us and document as they go.
All right. Thank you so much. This so brilliant ideas, and I look forward to us working together on some of these as we discussed before the show.
Right. I'm sure we'll do amazing things.
Thank you for coming on Akweya TV.
And thank you for having me.
For those of you who have been with us and have been sharing this, what do you think about all the wonderful proposals you've heard from Glory Ukwenga for Africana League? I think there's a lot that can be done with your contribution. Looking forward to hearing from you. Our phone numbers are there, 090-44-800-200. Look forward to hearing from you by WhatsApp and then in the comment section. Thank you for being with us.